All right, guys, let's get ready.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Indie Scene Podcast, where we take a deep dive in the scene of indie filmmakers like producers, directors, actors, grips, gaffers, hair, makeup, the entire industry. I'm your host, Aaron Spellz, but you can learn a lot more about me in the description below. But today I have the myth, the legend, the GOAT. You seen him all over BET. You seen him all probably in your grandma's house or your mama's house because they love Tyler Perry so much. He's the one that you know, that's your butler, the one that you want to come knocking on your door, the one that you're looking for. He's an actor, producer, writer. He's an acting coach. Man, none other than my man, Javon Johnson. What's up, King?
What's up, man? Appreciate you having me, brother.
Man, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a pleasure.
Man, I really appreciate you being here so much because, you know, I've came from literally nothing, and to sit here in front of one of the stars of someone that I admire, it's a blessing, man. So thank you for being here, man, for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump in early on this thing because you said, as you get to know, we get to talk a little bit, you'll kind of get a little vibe for me how I think and how I talk. Mm-hmm. But you said I came from nothing. We don't really come from nothing, right? Coming from nothing just means you're recognizing the conditions and circumstances we're in. But we're already something always inside of us already. Yeah. So it's about connecting that something that's already inside of us and getting on track with the passion and a purpose. You're always something. Yeah. Right? So just surroundings make you believe you come from nothing, but you never came from nothing, brother.
Wow. Well, I received that because I definitely don't believe, like, New Orleans, they say that's like a diamond in the rough. Like a lot of people come from a diamond in the rough. Tyler Perry, diamond in the rough. It's like, you're right. It's nothing. It's something, because something is in the soil of making some diamonds, right?
Absolutely.
So it's how you make your soil. It's what you do.
Yes, and there are more diamonds there. Yeah. They don't know they're diamonds.
They don't know they're diamonds. They just in the rough.
They're in the rough. Absolutely.
Now, look, we already jumping the gems, man. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all, man. We already dropping the gems. We about to get into it. We about to dive right into this man's great background to even get this mindset. So, Javon, please, like, where are you from, man? Like, how did you get from there to here? Tell us.
I'm from Anderson, South Carolina.
Okay.
Is
that like a small town or something?
Yeah, and we're really known for my dear friend and the late, great Chadwick Boseman.
Okay.
Who, of course, was all Black Panther and all these other iconic roles. We're both from the same hometown, and we was close friends. But there was nothing about that community that had a culture for the arts and entertainment. Like as a young Black kid, we didn't talk about being on TV or being writers and being in the arts. We talked about rapping, being in the church, playing sports, going into the industrial automotive industry, because that was the culture. You know what I mean? So there was no aspirations to do this. I almost played college football, but then I started going to recruiting camps, and then I realized I don't like the sport for that. I like the sports playing for homeboys I grew up with. But I was like, man, go to college for 4 years and play football, and I was like, man, I was a wide receiver, so I'm like, if I'm blessed enough to get, if I'm blessed enough at this time, I say, if I'm blessed enough to get to the NFL, I said, dang, Ray Lewis gonna be waiting on me. James Harrington gonna be waiting on me. I don't want that. Like, I don't want to be, any given Sunday they try to take my head off. And I realized I didn't really like the sport like that. Yeah. So, and then I was raised by my maternal side of the family, and college wasn't an aspiration either. Nobody talked about going to college. Wow. Most of the education level was probably diploma or less. So that wasn't a part of what my journey was going to be, my path. So I actually ended up going to college because my senior year, I was walking through my high school, and my choir teacher stopped me in the hallway. She said, "What are you going to do?" I said, no, I'm going to go to work, because at that time, I made my mind up to go into the textile industry and spend 30-something years, living a good life. Yeah. And, because that's considered a good life. Yeah. She said, no, you're going to college. I said, I'm like, I can go to, nobody goes to college. I'm like, I can't go to, I don't have money, you know what I mean? Right. She got me a scholarship to a choral scholarship at South Carolina State University. So I go to college. I tell my mom.
Oh, she gets your choir coach.
Yeah, she gets me a scholarship at South Carolina State University.
For singing?
For singing. I cannot sing. I catch a good note every now and then, hold on to it for a minute. You know what I mean? But Miss Laura Keith, right? She's the reason I went to college, and I went and told my mom I'm going to college. She was like, "How you going to do that?" I said, "I got a scholarship." Wow. Now at the time, I didn't even really know what the degree of the scholarship, what it meant. It was just the word scholarship. Wow. That was the motivation, right? Yeah. So I go to South Carolina State University, and I'm in the music department, but there's this big theater called the Henderson Davis Theater that's right there. And every day I walk by that building to get to the music department. I'm on the choir, like, I don't know if I'm a baritone or a bass or tenor. I'm switching up, and I'm like, I don't belong here. And I'm like, these cats sing, like, the choir has a big reputation. Yeah, they doing their thing. Like, and I'm like, I'm in the middle, like, trying to catch a note here and there.
Is like choir like bands, like you are number 2, number 3, or like you have to sing with the choir, or like
you sing with everybody's on the choir singing. Wow. Like you robing up, everybody's singing, right?
Oh wow!
And I realized, man, I'm out of place. You know, I'm here, but I'm not supposed to be here. Mm-hmm. But that theater building was talking to me, like in a spiritual way. Wow! I was just walking by it every day, and I'm like, man, something telling me to go in this building. Like I'm supposed to be in that building. And long story short, I went into the theater building, the Henderson Davis Theater, and became the theater president. Ended up giving up my choir scholarship and got a theater scholarship. Wow. And that was really where the journey began for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yo, well, hold up, man. From football to being a somewhat of a singer to now.
Oh, yeah.
You.
Don't blame me. Let me be free. How about you? I ain't come here to be judged. Y'all understand that? I came here to be free.
So shout out to the choir teacher. Yeah. She's seen something in you.
Obviously, she saw something.
She's seen something in you, and not only that, seeing something in you, she probably she probably projected your future. Right? Because you gotten to see something outside of yourself, which is a very beautiful thing. Now, the spiritual connection, that's what I want to. How like every day as you was walking past, like what was it like a voice, or was it like
it was just a feeling. It was a feeling. It wasn't anything. I didn't hear anything other than feeling something. It was like, you know, like you're in a room, you feel your mom walking through the room, and you looked at her, but you're like, damn, my mom here somewhere. Like, I better behave. You know what I mean?
Like, it was like even when you like, what about when you went home? Like, did you also have that? Like, it continued, or
no? It was just really just when I saw the building. You know, and it just felt like it was saying I was supposed to be in there. You know what I mean?
So what happened to the scholarship? You got a scholarship in theater after that?
I gave up the choir scholarship and got a theater scholarship, and I committed to that. Wow. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So from there, how did you get into like, so you got a degree in theater?
Yep.
Okay. So you got the degree in theater. What was the next? Like, what was your thought process?
After that, I said,
because I know you in theater, and I know how it is. Like, I'm going. Like for me, I went to school for filmmaking. Right. And I'm like, I have to make films, or I'm going to make films and be in Hollywood because I got a degree now.
Yeah.
That's
I was nowhere near that. That was not my mindset at all. Again, I come from a small town where this wasn't the aspiration, wasn't the language. So I'm stepping into something that I really had no real support in terms of, like, I couldn't go to my family and talk about this. Like, what they gonna say? Right. You know what I mean? Other than, why are you doing that? You know, get a real degree. You know what I mean?
Right.
So once I did my 4 years and got my bachelor's, I wasn't thinking about the industry. I felt like, man, I think I needed to learn more. And so I said, I need to go to a more intensive training. Right. So my focus was just on training and getting better at it. So that's the reason I went to graduate school. I went to the University of Pittsburgh.
Nice.
Got my master's
in theater.
In theater, yeah, because I just felt like I needed to learn more. You know, and that's
let's pause on training. How important is training?
It's everything, man. It's everything. And unfortunately, you know, I come from an era where, you know, the Sam Jacksons and the Denzels and all the old head greats, their foundation was built on that. You know, the culture was about training and theater and really grinding and putting in the work. We've since kind of removed from that in this era of social media and the internet where things seem to be easy. Yeah. Right. And so now it's a thing of people get this perception that, man, I could just jump up and do this. I can become a influencer right away, and then the word celebrity has gotten twisted now. Like everybody can be a celebrity now. It doesn't have the same kind of weight. You know what I mean? If you got a bunch of followers, you're a celebrity. You know, it's like, so these things have kind of distorted the idea that, you know, putting in real work and really honing and developing the talents and gifts you already have that are organic in you. And people just kind of go for they chase the opportunity first and leave the preparation as a secondary idea.
I was just having a conversation about this to a friend, because I was just like, you know, I was asking him, who do you feel certain comedians right now that is in the comedian space, right? Do you feel that they are comedians, or do you feel that they are influencers? Right. Because you can't say a certain person is like Martin Lawrence.
Right.
He put in some hours.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And for you to just be like, I'm going to do something silly on a phone consistently and look like a fool myself. Right. Now I'm considered a comedian.
Right.
And we just had that discussion, man. So you bring up a good point. A lot of things is getting misconstrued.
Absolutely. And it's on the filmmaking side too. It's across the board. I mean, you got directors and producers and actors who put these titles on themselves because they've actually done something, and then they claim the title. And it's like, yeah, you did something, but that doesn't mean you are that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what makes a person, besides training, because I know training is like essential, besides training, what makes a person that thing? Like, you know that person is doing that thing.
Well, I think is at what level you're operating at, and how deep are you in the knowledge and of that craft that you're operating in. So if you don't respect the world that you're operating in enough to dive deep into it and really honor that,
like learn history and stuff,
all of that, right? Learn all of that, and also honor yourself and put yourself in the best position to really be great. A lot of times people are doing stuff, but it's not about being great. You know, sometimes it's about, how can I hustle a film? You know, how can I flip this $20,000 film and get 80 out of it? Or get 120. That's the agenda.
Kind of like that fast food thing we talked about before.
Is that, you know, and there's you know, the industry is what it is. So it's not one of those things where I hate on that. I just know that there's room for that in the industry. But it's like, what's the position you want to be in this industry? Because definitely, you know, people are going to do that. You know what I mean? But there's also people who are making really finessed artistic projects that matter, and they're putting a lot of work and taking their time and developing and taking, you know, and making sure that they get the highest quality out of it, and hopefully the most impactful product. And then there's other people who's like, I just want to shoot a movie, I just want to get it out, I just want to get a return, and that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, which pool are you going to be in? You know,
for me, as a filmmaker as well, like, that's tough, right? Because you see a lot of people just coming up with something, chat GPT-ing their script.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. They chat GPT, they script, and they like, hey, I got a movie.
Yeah.
Then they go shoot it for little to nothing, and boom. And then you got people that is auteurs, that is like, you know what? I want mine to stand a test of time. Right. And I feel like that's a sense of patience and also training, right? Because people train themselves to be patient. Right. You know, there's a lot of training when it comes down to developing a masterpiece. And masterpiece is the eye of the beholder.
Right. Absolutely.
It's the eye of the beholder. But for you to say, at least I'm aiming for that.
Right.
It takes the time, the dedication, the patience, the loyalty from the people you're connected with. Right. And after, am I missing anything else?
No, absolutely, man. It comes down to, this is a business, it's an industry, it's also a business. And it's like, what part of this business do you want? How do you want it? Right? Integrity is always a thing, you know what I mean, that gets challenged because the nature of the business doesn't make room for people to be integral all the time. I think one of the biggest things that, which is great and not so great about the industry, is the fame and the attention. Like, I think people always want that, right? And then the money, right? There's so much money to be made, and there's so much attention to be gained, right? And so when you put that out there in front of people, and it's like, oh, I can be somebody, or I can get my bank up, or I can be somebody just because I got in this project, and people saw me, and I chased that rather than chasing what's integral about what I want to do. And again, it's not knocking anybody. It's like, some people want that. Some people just want that. And that's fine. You can get it. right? But then there's some people who want to stand in something with a purpose and a cause.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that may not be the route I'm going to go.
So did you always know that you wanted to pursue this career? Not really.
Nah, I didn't know, man.
You just, once that calling happened in college, you were just focused.
I kind of look at it as a call.
You gave it a tunnel vision?
I kind of say I just stayed out the way. You know, I didn't question it. I didn't know I was going with it. Because again, I come from a place where I didn't know anybody else like me. At the time, I was growing up in Anderson, South Carolina. Chadwick and I weren't like connected like that because he was 3 or 4 years younger than me. So, you know, if I'm a senior in high school, he like a freshman, you know, and we went to rival high schools. Wow. So I knew his family members, his older family members. Nice. I didn't link up with Chadwick until his days at Howard. And a friend of mine who I went to University of Pittsburgh with, he said he was graduate of Howard. He said, man, I only know one other person from Anderson, South Carolina. I said, dude, you don't know anybody from Anderson, South Carolina. He was like, no, I know one person, man. You got to meet him, right? So we went to Howard. We drove down from Pittsburgh to Howard. And I'm walking to this dorm. And yeah, it's this dorm right here. Walking there and walking to the room. And it was like, Chad. He was like, Javon. I was like, dog. I was like, what is this? Wow. Man. And I didn't know he was in theater. I didn't know, like, we didn't get that in our hometown. Wow. Like, I had no idea. So we was like, man, you doing this too? He was like, yeah, I'm doing this. This what you doing? Wow. And we was like, because we didn't come from a place where. Yeah.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
Like the push.
Yeah, where we do those kind of things. So for me to pursue it, it was a lonely road, right? And I didn't really know that I would be sitting here talking about the things I've done. Wow, man. You know what I mean?
Man, and the things you've done, right. The accomplishments you've done, man, I tip my hat to you.
Thank you, man.
You know, you paving the way, I feel, for a lot of young Black brothers that is going through what you've been through. And this is what this platform is for, to share, right. You know, how can they step be a little bit easier? You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you this. Once you knew, okay, this is what I'm going full focus, right? Who was your inspiration? Like, who was like you drawing inspiration, or you pulled that energy from, or motivated you to say, okay, I'm gonna keep going after this?
Yeah, that was the late great August Wilson had a profound effect on me. Who, you know, if you don't know, you know, Denzel's adapting I guess if all of his 10 play cycles to film. So I think that, you know, the last one they did was Fences with Denzel played Troy. Yep. I think they just filmed Piano Lesson. So I don't know. It's a lot more to go. Yeah. But I did a production of Fences at Hilton Head Playhouse while I was in undergrad at South Carolina State University, and I played the role of Corey, Troy Maxon's son.
The son, the baseball player, right?
Yeah. Okay. And then that changed my whole, because I didn't have a father. Like, I was, you know, single mother, so I didn't really know what it meant to be, have a father in my life, really. And but something about his work made me understand what it means to be a young Black man in America. It had a profound effect on me, and it changed my whole outlook. And I never met the writer. I'm just doing his work. I would later on meet him, and we have a relationship and things like that later on once I got to Pittsburgh. And that turned into something, because that's when I started writing. Yeah. But that was the first profound moment I had on this journey, was doing that production, and it really opened my spirit and my mind just to being Black in America, which is really what his cycle of plays really puts a lens on, right?
And how did you take that energy? Did you use it as like fuel, or?
Yeah, I just use it in terms of just being accountable for me. You know, I don't, you know, it wasn't a whole thing. And I talk, I teach too. So I teach a lot of my focus when I teach my students is about your mindset and how you see things, right? It's not just about acting and technique and training your talent. It's about how do you mentally prepare yourself for this industry. And so one of the things when that happened with my father, it just put me in a place where I don't have to expect people to live up to their titles, because everybody's not qualified because they have the title.
That's facts,
right? So,
and that's in the industry as well.
Absolutely. So, mom may be mom, but mom can maybe only be there for this type of thing, right?
Nurturing,
whatever that is. She might not need to be over here in this other side. You might need another type of mom that handles that side. You know what I mean? So, I just realized, okay, he's always going to be my father. But he can only give me this. So now I got to find it for myself.
You went from, man, that So that play was in college?
Yeah, that was in college. Yeah, that was in college.
When did you fall into the industry? Like, how did you roll into now? You did all this training.
Yeah.
Did you just focus on training and then somebody was like, hey?
No, I was seriously focused on training. That was what I was enjoying, and it was all about being patient about it. And when I was in grad school, I started writing, and that came out of nowhere. It was a spiritual. It was actually kind of scary. It was all spiritual, man. So I started writing, man. I took this job. I was in grad school. Undergrad, and I took a job in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was the first time I was out of South Carolina. First time I was away from family. I didn't know anybody, and I'm living by myself because we're doing this touring play. And I took a semester off from school to do it, right? And in this isolation, because I had an apartment that had no furniture, it was like these dull beige walls. And I had my evenings free because we would tour during the day. So in this isolation, I guess something opened for me creatively, and this is when I actually did start hearing voices and seeing characters, right?
Okay.
Of course, I'm not telling anybody this because it's a phenomenon for me. I'm like, well, I've never experienced this, right? And I'm like, man, this whole movie, this thing, but I didn't know what it was, right? But the story and these characters were playing out in my head.
Dialogue and everything.
Everything. I'm seeing it. It's like I'm watching TV. And then, and it would literally like pause and pick back up the next day.
It's exciting.
So I'm like, I don't know what this is. So I'm not telling anybody. I'm seeing people and hearing people in my head, right? Because I'm like, you black, you crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you say some stuff like that.
Weirdo.
Yeah, something wrong with you, right? So I'm like, nah, I'm trying to ignore it all, right?
I understand.
Yeah.
Our audience understands.
Yeah. So I'm ignoring it, and then I say, I'm gonna let this just pass. Whatever this is, it's gonna get out. So it stopped, right? It played itself out from beginning to end, and I was like, okay, that's cool, it's done. But it kept coming back to me, and I was like, what is this? So this was the journey, right?
You had to write it.
I wrote it in pencil by hand. For some reason, I rewrote it in ink because I said, oh, this pencil ain't gonna last. And then once I rewrote it in ink, I said, well, the paper might get, all these things was coming up, and I ended up buying this desk word processor from Target. And at the time, it was a big deal. Like, it was, I don't know, it was like $200 something or $300 something like that. And I was like, but that was a big expense for me.
Yeah.
And I remember standing in the checkout line behind somebody else, and it was an out-of-body experience. I was literally looking at myself in the line saying, what are you doing? I didn't know why I was doing it.
I had those moments.
I didn't know what I was doing. I knew I had this word processing, these floppy disks. And the floppy disk.
I don't even think nobody knows what that is.
Yeah, Google that right there. Know your history. So I had this floppy disk, right?
Wow.
And I went in and I typed the whole thing out, right? And I still didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was a play because I didn't write plays. I wasn't a writer. And the thing about being a writer for me, I never thought I was worthy of being a writer. I didn't think I had the intellectual capacity to create something that would matter to people.
Yo, you're saying something that I feel all the time, right? I say I'm a vision. A lot of people be like, are you a writer? I'm like, yeah.
Right.
But how, like, for me, it's more of like I'm a visionary person.
Right.
I can hear it, I can see it, I can feel it, I can smell it, I can taste it. I know what type of dialogue they have.
Right.
I visually see what's in the element.
Yeah.
The dialogue I can write, but if, for example, if the person is, let's say, a scholar,
right,
I don't think I could write that dialogue.
Well, I
like even with pigs, I didn't know how to. I wrote the dialogue,
right,
but the dialogue of a lawyer I didn't have. The vocabulary, the terminology, how they pronounce certain things. Like I didn't have that. Even though I consider myself a method director, right? Like my background is an actor as well. I have a degree in acting, theater as well. And so like my background is acting. So when I'm writing or anything, I have to act out literally.
Right, you gotta get into it. Yeah, you in it, right?
Every scene.
You know, dancing all in the videos. Y'all come over here to Javon Johnson. Who Spellz over here dancing in the videos.
Yo, that's facts though. That's facts, yo. I literally was having this. I'm writing another piece right now, and they had this one scene that I'm like, yo, this person got to act like this, so I had to act it out,
right,
to really feel how to write it.
Yeah, that's dope though.
That's interesting.
That's dope. Yeah,
that's interesting. I just have to get into my actors' roles, so I know, like, one, when I direct them, what I'm looking for, what I'm seeking for, and then not only that, like how they're pronouncing or saying the words. 'Cause I'm a bit twisted in the mind, so I get it.
I think we're all a bit twisted to do any of this. I think I'm hearing voices, so I might be twisted too.
Man, look, bro, I feel like not only voices is not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing when you having voices that's bringing you to a point of growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I had voices in my head throwing pigs. I had voices in my head saying, all right, done with this industry, go make your movie.
Right.
Time to prove to yourself to make your film. It's time to show everybody that you said what you say you can.
Right.
I had that voice and it was like loud.
Yeah.
Like really, really loud. Right.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'm sorry, guys. I had so many people that was mad at me because I literally disappeared to do the film, and they were supposed to be on the film.
Oh wow!
They were supposed to be like because it was, the thing is, it was like I wasn't waiting for. I couldn't wait no more.
Right. It was time.
It was just like, okay, I'm at a pressure point.
Yeah.
Like y'all in Houston, y'all getting y'all to come out here to be a part of this project. Like God is saying, do this now. You have this many days. Don't. Who's gonna be a part of it? Gonna be a part of it. If not, go. Right. And I feel like the voices is God. You know what I'm saying? To a degree, is like, forget whoever thinks it's weird, because truthfully, if you're not hearing voices, you're not hearing your future.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're not hearing your future unless that voice says.
We all got it by something.
Right. We're all guided by something, and we're all also destroyed by something.
Absolutely.
Because we can self-sabotage ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you hear that voice too.
Yeah.
And that's the two that's
the struggle, man. That's the struggle.
Man, so tell everybody, what was your first gig and how did you get? Like, what was that journey? Did you do auditions? Was it a homie that put you in?
Yeah. My first real gig was that piano fences at Hilton Head Playhouse. I think I was a sophomore in undergrad.
So that was a theater play?
Yeah, that was a theater production.
What about Hollywood, or not Hollywood, but the
film side?
Film side.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One, I started as an extra.
Okay.
My first extra job was Jim Carrey's Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Nice.
I think it was 2.
Okay.
It was 1 or 2. I was an African, and I was an African warrior in Africa, but we was in Charleston.
Okay.
And I had these sandals on, and I got home and had sunburn on my toes. I couldn't walk.
Okay.
Right, but that's one of those things where you sat there. That's one of those things where you sat there and you look at the TV, and I'm like, you got to pause it, and you got to catch me right there coming down the corner of the screen. That was my first film experience. My first, I guess, real film project was Kevin Smith's movie Dogma. Okay. Which was loaded with Ben Affleck, Chris Rock, Selma Hayek, Matt Damon. Yeah.
Sophomore?
Yeah. And I was a grad school at this time.
Okay.
And that was just interesting because I didn't really know Kevin Smith's work. And his stuff is very controversial. And we were playing gang members, and I knew all the black guys that were cast as gang members. We all knew each other. Yeah, from Pittsburgh, right? Hilarious. And we on set, man. We having a hard time because at this time I come from South Carolina State University. My dude was coming from Howard. We were pro-black minded actors, black actors. It was image and everything was. We were being accountable for what are we projecting, what are we putting out there in our work
for ourselves.
So, that's what our mindset was. So it got to the point where we was like, man, I don't know what, because I hadn't read the script, and we were shooting for 5 days. And this is the project that got me my SAG card, and I'm like, man, it's got lines in there like we get insulted by him telling us to suck a watermelon through a straw and stuff. It's like, I'm like, what are we doing? I'm like, dude, what? So we was having issues, right? And so it got back to Kevin Smith, who, the producer, director, writer. And I appreciate Kevin for this because he stopped production and brought us all into the trailer to have a conversation about what we was concerned about. And I was like, man, he literally did not have to do this. Like, we were some college kids. Like, we was nobodies in terms of that. You know what I'm saying? We was just on his set being some pro-black minded actors who don't have a career. Nobody knows. And he felt it was important enough to call us into his trailer and sit us down and say, hey, I've been hearing you guys have some concerns. What are your concerns? We expressed them. It's like, then he explained what his intentions are with the movie. And after that, we was cool. Wow. We was cool.
So
before we continue, I want to share an opportunity to all the business owners and marketers out there. Our podcast is the perfect platform to showcase your brand, product, and services. Your message can reach a diverse and engaged community with our commercial sponsorship. Our company will work closely with you to craft a message that aligns your brand with our show's unique vibes. Interested in learning more? Click the link in the description or visit our website at spellzproductions.com. We look forward to working with you. Back to the show.
I like that you said the mindset. Let's help a little bit for those that are inspired to be an actor and those that are seeking to be in the positions or follow the footsteps of Javon Johnson. What type of mindset do you feel that a person needs like Javon Johnson to get to where you are?
Well, it depends on, like I said earlier, man, it depends on what path you want to travel. Do you know what I mean? I'll start with the goal. Like, what's your goal? What do you want from this industry, right? Start there first, because if you know what you want to get to, then you can begin to craft, you begin to draft a pathway to get there. Everybody then, there's no one way to get anywhere.
Yeah.
But you can waste a lot of time chasing and not going anywhere because you don't know where you're trying to actually go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the first thing is to decide on what's your ultimate goal? Where do you want to be sitting in 10 years in this industry? Where do you see yourself sitting? What position you see yourself sitting at? And then you ask yourself, what does it take to get to that?
Okay.
You know what I mean? And like I say, if you want to go the hustle route, you ain't got to sit here and do what Javon do. Do you have to train to go to a certain route? No, you absolutely not. Everybody don't have to be trained and grinding and putting in work if you're not trying to go to where I'm going. Right. You know what I mean? Then don't waste your time. Because I've gotten people that come to me, want me to train them, and I've literally said, there's no need for you to get this kind of training because for what you want, what your aspirations are, you don't need it. If you want to just go out and just do some movies that, no knock against Tubi, because Tubi does some wonderful things, but there's places on Tubi where a lot of independent filmmakers are getting looks, right? But they're not necessarily trained in the industry. They're not really necessarily investing in what they do, and they're not necessarily writers or creatives. They just got some hustle money, got some cameras, got an idea, and they're recycling certain themes that they want people to watch. And if you, as an actor, so to speak, if that's what you want to do, then you don't need me. You don't need the information I have. Right. You can just wake up and go do that. Right. You know what I mean? That's easy, right? But if you really want something that
Javon Johnson,
you want a career, you want something that gives you an opportunity for longevity and give you space to continue to level up where you want to be with the major players in the industry, and you want to do that kind of work. So if you look at a Viola Davis, you got to look at Viola's track too. You can't look at a Viola Davis and you over here doing indie films with no training and working with people that have no training either or no knowledge of what they're actually doing. That's not going to get you to where Viola got. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you want to be where the great ones are, that's a different mindset. It's a different kind of commitment. And it's a different kind of perseverance, and it's a different kind of belief in the purpose and in yourself. And then you have to learn how to kill the noise and put the blinders on, because there are going to be so many distractions. That's facts. So many naysayers, so many things. One thing I say about this industry all the time is know the nature of the beast, right? So, and one of the analogies I use is you can't take a trip into the forest intentionally and say, I want to go to the forest. I want to spend the night in the forest, and then get in the forest and start complaining about the forest. It's like, no, you didn't do your study. You didn't know what the forest, you didn't know what kind of snakes are out there, what's venomous, what's non-venomous. You didn't know what kind of berries you should eat, not eat. You didn't even check to see how much the temperature drops at night. So now you're freezing. Yeah. And now you're mad at the forest. It's like, no, that's the industry. That's the industry.
You know, I like that you said that, because that's exactly my journey, right? My journey was more of like, I decided to be a director when I was 13, right? When I was young, I was like, I know what I want to be. That's what I'm after. I'm going to do it, right? So I was like, but what does it take to be that? And exactly what you're saying, I had to go to be a director, but I wanted to know what it takes to be a good director, a great director. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my time. I'm going to learn every department. Right. Literally, from stagehands to PA to office PA to office secretary to hair, makeup to grip gaffer. Like, I'd done every department you could think of in filmmaking. That's great. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because one, I wanted to know everybody's position, and two, I wanted to know time frame.
Right.
Right? Because it's a chemistry to filmmaking.
Yep.
Right? It's a rhythm.
Yep.
Right? If you find that rhythm, you have a perfect set.
Right.
If you can't find that rhythm, you
yeah.
have a horrible set.
Yeah.
That set is, oh my
Yeah.
God, everywhere. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
absolutely.
So for me, I've been on both sides where the rhythm was off and the set went haywire.
Right.
You know, we on TMZ.
Right. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? We on Shade Room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you got beautiful sets where it's like, oh, every day we get your call sheet. It's nice and moving. Everybody,
moving, yeah.
no problems. It's like everybody know their positions. Everybody know their job, and it's execution every day of work, every hour of work.
Right.
Beautiful.
Right.
So for me, I wanted to learn every department so I can understand how to communicate to my department heads, one, and then two, know their time frames. So when they tell me I need this ETA or that ETA, it makes sense in my head.
Right.
And I'm not rushing them like, oh, we gotta go, we gotta get this done.
Right.
No, in meantime, in between time, in that time, we're figuring out what else can we do? Can we set up the next set, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that brought me to, that's why I felt like I was ready. Right. With Pigs, it was like, okay, God was like, you got what you wanted. You was an assistant to a director. That was your last position.
Yeah.
That was the last position that I wanted.
Now you're here.
Assistant to the director. And I was like, okay, I got it. So he's like,
it's time.
It's time.
Yeah.
You did all the positions. You did it. Now
Yeah.
it's time. Now it's time to show, you know, and it's like, okay. You sit back, you look, and you got to get that mindset of like, can you really do it?
Right.
Can I really hit this home run?
Right.
Can I really do it? And, you know, for those that's out there, what I'll say is just do it, man.
Yeah.
What's funny about it is when you do it, you're proud of yourself. When you do it, you see that you, from your heart, out of your sweat, blood, and tears, out of your scares, out of your fears, you achieve. You got victory. And that's the most powerful thing I can kind of hold, you know, as a man, as a black man in America. It's like you can't take away that award.
Right.
You can't take away that award. You can't take that award. You know,
But you also put in that work, though.
I put in that work.
Right. That prep.
I put in that prep. I put in
and that
that
was training. That was
Yep.
training, right? So
Put in that training.
And I always say,
got
you know,
barked on a lot.
Right. So your blessings are already there, right? It's about what seeds are you planting, because they're going to harvest, right? If you keep nurturing and planting seeds, so the preparation and the luck to me is when the preparation meets the opportunity, right? That's the only thing that makes luck to me, right? Because the opportunity is only going to matter because I prepped for it. I was prepared for it.
That's deep.
Because when the opportunity comes and I'm not prepared for it, guess what happens? Guess what happens? You blow the opportunity.
Blow the opportunity.
Now people don't want to work with you.
prepared.
Now people say, oh, you told me you could do this and you could do that, and then I hired you, and then the set going crazy. You don't even know how to direct.
Wow.
You don't even know, what is the script you sent me? You said you was a writer.
You say you was? Wow.
Right? There was no prep that met the opportunity. So people chase the opportunity so much when they get there, you just set yourself back 4 or 5 years because you made a bad impression. You wasn't ready.
That's deep.
So at least in your case, you made sure the preparation met the opportunity.
I prepped, and the opportunity showed itself, and I attacked it.
Absolutely.
You know, and I do that with everything that comes, man.
Right.
So back to you though.
Yeah.
You did the same thing. So how did you land this gig with Tyler Perry as his name is
Richard Halson. Yeah. It's a nice little thing to note about that experience with Tyler. I had been working with Tyler on some other projects, but smaller things, you know, little piece in Daddy's Little Girls, a little episode of House of Pain. Then I did Medea Boo Halloween, right? The first one. And then funny thing, when the audition came for this character on the Oval, it was during a time where I had played so many pastors that people thought I was a real pastor. And I would meet people in Walmart, and they say, well, I know you, baby, what church you pastor at? I'm like, I'm holding some box of cereal or something. Like, I don't know, ma'am. I don't know. Baby, I know you. What's your family? Because you the pastor. I'm like, no.
Oh my God.
They don't realize they see me so much as a pastor. So I told my agent, I said, listen, I'm not taking any more pastor roles.
Can't do that.
And they didn't believe me. They kept sending them to me. I kept rejecting them. Right? I was like, no. And so when this role came, all I saw was a butler in a white. And I was like, dang, is that really that far from a pastor? I was like, I'm not gonna audition for a butler because it's not really stretching much. I'm trying to get out the pastor stigma thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I went in because Raven Drummer was the casting director, who a lot of people know in the Atlanta market. And I hadn't been in the room with her for a while. And I said, I really just went in just to get in the room with Raven, to say hi to Raven, just to keep that relationship, because I respect Raven. And that's really what I went in there for. And when I showed up, all of us looked the same. We all had the same suit on.
Wow.
And I'm looking at cats who have been on, who I've been watching on TV. I'm like, oh, you definitely the butler. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm casting the show. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, he's the butler.
He's the butler.
Yeah.
Me.
No, not me. I'm like, I don't look, I'm not the butler. You know what I'm saying?
The conversation in the head, like, I'm already
but I'm admiring these brothers. Like, yeah, man, I'm in from the show, man. That's my dude. You know what I'm saying? So I go in the room, I do my thing. This is a Friday where I go in, I do my thing, have a great time in the room with Raven, like I expected, I leave, right? I don't think, because as soon as I'm out of an audition, it's out of my mind, right? Saturday morning, my cell phone rings, and I'm not a morning person, so I looked at the call and it said it was an Atlanta number, and I was like, I don't know who that is. I'm going back to sleep, right? And then I thought about it because I was working on another project, and I said, oh, it could be somebody from production from the other film that I was working on. I said, let me check, because I don't want to miss a call from production. And I check and I get this message, this Tyler Perry trying to reach you. And I'm thinking, because at the time I heard it, I forgot about the audition already. So I'm like, Tyler Perry? I'm like, who is this? So I'm going back to sleep again, right? I'm like, man. And then I said, I'm a bit of a jokester, right? So I said, oh, if somebody playing, okay, I'm going to play with
Somebody
him.
bring it.
I'm going to play too, you know what I'm saying? So I called the number back, and immediately it was like, yeah, this is Tyler Perry. I'm like, oh, dang, this is Tyler Perry for real. And I'm like, so I'm trying to wake up, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not the morning person. I'm like, this Tyler on my phone. Tyler never called me, Wow. I didn't know he had my number, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So he calls to talk about the show and to talk about Richard Halson. And he was giving me insight on Richard Halson. And he was like, hey, he's more than a butler. He's all these other things. And I was like, oh, okay. And so we had this, I don't know, we might have talked for like 10, 15 minutes, mostly Tyler talking. And at the end of it, he was like, so you interested in something like that? I was like, yeah. Okay, cool. And the call ended. And I was like, I don't know, did he just offer me the part or what? I was like, I didn't know what it meant. So I was like, okay, cool. Tyler just called me. And then, but it wasn't over.
Wow.
I had to go in, and now we had to do chemistry reads. And we spent most of the day at TPS because he was doing both shows at Sisters and the Oval. And I don't know if another show was casting the entire shows together at the same time. Yeah. So I'm there like all day reading with people. And then they called a certain number of people upstairs to a room and told us to wait. And so this is after like 8 hours of auditioning. And we're sitting in the room. We're not being told what it is. We're sitting in the room. So we was like, okay, we're looking at each other, We were seeing each other all day. And they say, okay, Tyler's going to be up in a few minutes. And we're like, okay, Tyler didn't come up in a few minutes. All right, come back up. Tyler's coming, but he's on his way up. So we kept going to this whole Tyler's coming. We're like, is Tyler coming? Why are we in this room? They keep telling us Tyler coming. Tyler had not come up here yet. And then finally Tyler came up, and he was on up there for like a minute. And he just basically said, hey, welcome to the Oval. Welcome to, and everybody just lost their minds. And that was the process.
Wow.
And I remember at the first rap party, season 1, we was at the rap party and I was talking to Tyler. We was joking, having a nice little conversation. And then I asked him something about casting me as Richard Halson in the Oval. And he said to me, he knew when I worked for him 10 years ago, he wanted something for me. And I said, what took you so long? He said, it had to be the right thing. And I said, that's the lesson though. And this is one thing I try to teach, mindset and perspective I try to get it to my students is, again, it goes back to what kind of seeds are you planting? Because you never know who's watching you, what they're paying attention to, and how you landing on people. How's your energy and spirit landing on people? Because you never know who's working in your favor.
Yeah.
Because you was in the right mindset and the right spirit when you work with those people and frequency, right? You never know who's sitting around. You might be sitting around penning something for somebody. They don't even know. You didn't tell them. You're like, man, I ran into that actor. I ran into that person. I'm gonna write something.
I'm big on that.
Right. And they don't even know, right? But it's about how you carry yourself in this business.
I'm big on that. I'm big on going to get nuggets.
Right.
Seed nuggets that is like, oh, like Jason Louder.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my dude. Yeah.
Another one.
Killing it.
I'm
He's
like,
killing
yo,
it right now.
I have to write something.
Right.
For him.
Yeah.
You know, you now, like,
Yeah.
you're my bro. Like, what?
Yeah, and Jason has the right spirit, man.
He has the right spirit.
Because you know this industry is full of. I say this industry is full of darkness with bright spots, and it's those bright spots that keep us going for it.
Yeah.
But what we're dealing with is the darkness.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of bad frequency people out here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad intention people. There's more of those than there are Jason Louders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Big facts.
When you come across somebody like that with the right spirit, it's such a priceless thing to have because it's so scarce.
Man, what?
It's so scarce. You can't
So
trust
scarce.
half the people in the industry. You can't trust them. You're always looking over your shoulder. You're always second guessing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are they gonna pay me on time?
Anything. Are they gonna rip me off? They're gonna take this. They're gonna, it's
Sabotage me?
absolutely. It's all of that all the time, man. So when you meet genuinely good people that have the right intentions and want the best of themselves and everybody around them, they become jewels.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And I want to also have a point that you shared, Miss Raven, her name, right?
Yeah.
That relationship that you kept, just to go to, keep it fresh or keep
absolutely.
it going. You know,
Yeah.
that's a big thing that I feel a lot of people is missing. Sometimes even I miss that aspect of it because I'm in it as like some ways out other people ways, so it's kind of like a lot of things people going through. And sometimes in the inside we're frantic, right? So a lot of times I've realized that building the relationships or we focus on the money, it's not really about the money no more.
Right.
It's about how much are you relating to that person, building that relation, being more trustworthy than anything. Because, like you said, that person is like, "Hey, he did that favor for me,"
Right.
Or "Hey, he did this for me," or "Hey, he did this for nothing."
Right.
And
Right.
it's like, you know what? He didn't have to,
Right.
because we don't have to do anything that we don't want to.
Right. Absolutely.
But for you to go there and just say, "Oh, Raven was the casting director. I haven't really locked in with her for a while. I'm going to go just say hello."
Absolutely.
Could have just been the reason why you got the gig.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
me? So-
Relationships is so much, I tell people all the time, man, talent is one thing, right? But there's no shortage of talent.
No.
There's no shortage of talent. And most of the time, your talent is not that uniquely special in itself, like just the talent.
Yep.
Because talent is everywhere,
Everywhere.
right? And if you talk about, I use the idea of talking about professional athletes, like, if you take the NBA, everybody on the roster, on every team, is super talented.
Yep.
But what percentage of the players do we actually talk about? Those are the ones that are freakishly talented, who may just be able to write. Those are the ones that hit the lottery in talent.
Yeah.
Right? They might not have to work in the same way, but you got to look at the other 80% of the league that are super talented.
Yeah.
They have to work hard every season to stay on a team.
Yeah.
And they are super talented. That's the majority of the people out here.
Well, you're super talented, Mr. Javon.
Well, I thank you, man.
And you are in the LeBron category and Kobe Bryant
Thank you,
category.
thank you,
when it
thank
comes
you.
down to amazing black actors, man. But you are actor, writer, and also a producer.
Right.
And you have produced something recently called what? Once in a
Valentine.
Once in a Valentine.
Yeah.
Is that out right now, or is it coming out?
It's coming out soon.
Coming out?
Yeah, Once in a Valentine's, a feature indie film I did with my producing partner, Jesse Jalais.
Okay.
And then we just completed a second feature called The Stuttering Preacher, which is a satirical comedy.
All right.
You guys are going to see me in a way that you've never seen me before, and you probably won't see me like this again for a while.
Okay.
But it's just to show you that, I'm not...
You got range.
Yeah, it's just I can do some other things, you know what I'm saying? So that's with my producing partner, Jesse, as well. And we got a slate of other film projects that we're going to do as well.
Okay, well, shoot. Luckily, Mr. Javon gave us a clip, so check out this trailer, and we're going to get right back to it.
Are you?
Yes. Yes, I am.
No, please don't.
It's the first time I'm hearing this. I tell you what, y'all gonna get married over my dead body.
Is there some rule or law that says when I'm supposed to get married?
He's abusive and he's a manipulator.
You judged him before getting to know him.
If you think jumping into a marriage with this boy is gonna put a Band-Aid on what you've been going through,
Daddy!
hope y'all enjoyed the trailer. That trailer was dope to me. I watched it and I loved it. And Mr. Javon, can you tell us a little bit more about that trailer that we just saw?
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about, I'm a writing teacher as well, right? So there's one of my writing students at the time was working on this piece. And she's very new to writing. And what I said to her was, you know what, I think we have something here. I said, I'm interested in producing this. So why don't we expedite things? I can come in and help develop this and we can get it going. And we agreed to that. So I became a co-writer on it and the producer and the director on it. And that was a dream for her because, again, she's in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is an hour from Anderson. In her mind, this was so far away as a dream, a reality, that I just closed that gap real quick. And all of a sudden, she's going to screenings and all these things is happening.
Yeah.
Right?
The trailer looks amazing.
Yeah.
By the way, like the shots, the angles, the storytelling.
Thank you.
I seen some familiar faces in there.
Yeah.
Like it really looks like it's going to be a very good Valentine's Day gift.
Yeah. I'm proud of the work, man. I'm proud of it. It looks good. I think it's an impactful. We did a screening and it really was effective.
Yeah.
You know, with the audience.
So what do you plan on doing with it next?
We're getting distribution right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll stay tuned. It's coming out. Look out for it once in a Valentine. It's coming real soon.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I definitely look forward to it. Is there anything else that you want to share that's coming that they need to look out? It's out right now.
Yeah. I got. If you're in the Atlanta area, I have I do a lot of stuff, right? So I got my hands in a book slam that's coming for all you writers. It's going to be it's going to be a monthly book slam. So if you're a writer and you're looking for somewhere to showcase your work, get feedback on your work, link with me on my social media and I get you information. But the first book slam will be at venue 78, and I'll give you information at the post. I think that's June 17th.
Okay.
Which should be a Monday, 7 p.m. And then on the 19th, which is Wednesday, at the same venue 78, it's in Lilburn.
Okay.
I have a one-woman show. One of my other producing partners, Dr. April Kelly, her one-woman show about being a survivor called Beneath the Crown. Very powerful piece.
Okay.
That talks about her journey and still, wearing that crown.
That crown.
Right, and getting through. So that one-woman show will be there June 19th. And then if you're in the Chicago area, and if you're not in the Chicago area, go ahead and book your ticket. Come on to Chicago for a major workshop I'm doing in Chicago, June 21st and June 23rd. I think it's a Friday and Sunday. We're doing an acting workshop there, a 2-day acting workshop, so it's going to be big.
That's huge, man.
Yeah.
Man, you moving around.
Yeah.
Javon, you like, man, I'm grateful for you, man.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for you. Before you leave, can you give any inspirational tips or inspirational quotes or anything to our audience that is inspiring to be in the categories, positions that you are in?
Right. Yeah, I can say this, man. Like anything, it's tough. It's tough. And it's a lonely road, right? This is not a road where you can depend on people all the time. This is a road where when you establish authentic and genuine relationships, they will come organically. Don't force them. Don't look to make somebody your friend, because you'll find out they were never your friend when you actually need them. Let those relationships happen organically, and you'll know when somebody's really there for you along the way. You really have to believe that this is for you and it's what you want to do, and then you got to fully commit to that, and don't divert from that. No matter what it looks like it's happening for other people, or how easy it looks like it's happening for other people. Yeah. That's none of your business. You walk your walk, and you walk your path, and your rewards are already there waiting for you. And I guess the last thing I would say in regards to this is respect everybody. Everybody's worthy of respect. And learn to deal with and cope with people who won't respect you, because that's coming. Yeah. You're not always going to get the respect you deserve. Wow. The work you put in is not always going to be recognized. You know what I mean? Deep. When you spend 2 hours or 2 days working on an audition, doesn't mean you're going to book it because you put in all that work, and doesn't mean that they're going to acknowledge that and be like, oh, you deserve it. It doesn't work that way, right? You have to know for yourself that, hey, this comes with the territory. So it's not meant to, don't let it break you down. Let it help you become wiser. Yeah. And how to develop a skill set and a mindset to deal with what's coming.
Yeah.
so that it doesn't destroy you along
Yeah.
the way. Because there's so many things about this business that by nature will chip away at you,
Yeah.
and you'll lose yourself, right? And you also got to know who you are too. You got to know who you are, because
Yeah.
you will become something that they create, and you will find yourself looking in the mirror like, what happened?
Man, that's a whole
What
nother
happened?
story right
You know what I
there.
mean?
That's an entire whole nother story that I dealt with as well. And you're absolutely right, man. Please know yourself. Like, don't allow yourself to sway. You know, at the end of the day, it don't break.
Right.
You can bend, you can move, just don't break, because a lot of things definitely come and get thrown at you. And I have definitely been through that. So I definitely... You right about everything you're saying, man. I really appreciate you, Javon. Let the world know where they can find you, what to follow, what to subscribe to, whatever,
absolutely,
everything.
Man. My website is I am Javon Johnson, and actually that's also my social media handles. This is IG is I am Javon Johnson, and everything else is I am Javon Johnson. So not hard to find.
Yep, you know this is your grandma boyfriend right here.
Oh yeah, grandmama, auntie,
aunties. They love some Tyler Perry. The Oval.
Everybody want to cook for me. Yeah.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank y'all for watching the Indie Scene Podcast. You already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like. Make sure you share. Man, stay in tune with the Indie Scene Podcast, because we're going deep and depth, just like today, giving you the nuggets and juice from within the mud of indie scene filmmaking. And so I just want to be that host that gives y'all the knowledge and the skill set to share with people that I'm learning from. And you know, we're all in the mud. We're all going after it. So don't give up. Keep going. This is a show to let you know and show you that we're going to keep going, and just do it, yo. Put a stamp on it. You already know Spellz Productions. This show is sponsored by Boss Sets, Boss Studios, where we are right now. Thank y'all so much for watching. See y'all next time. Plow. Before you go, we would like to hear from you. Drop a comment down below, and also don't forget to hit the subscribe button, share, and like for our goal of 10,000 followers. Thank you so much. See you next time on Indie Scene Podcast.